Hey everybody. Well, it seems like we're going to be meeting like this a lot for the next little while. While I'm driving around doing stuff is one of the easiest times for me to talk to you guys. And I want to try and do this basically daily. So here's what we got. In any case, let's fill you in on where we are. So we didn't speak yesterday, though I do have a car video from yesterday. It just didn't go out live. I wound up going up to the guys at Maingear and shot a little bit of video of their location. I have a nice little sort of montage of me going up there that you'll see, and I'll give you some details on the machine that I wound up ordering. But basically, we went beast on this thing. You know, Asus Maximus 10 motherboard, which is just awesome. NVMe drives, primary drive. We have a NVIDIA Titan graphics card in there, which is, we're going from a graphics card with 2 gigabytes of memory up to one with 12, and you know, that's not even counting the core boost. So hopefully all this encoding and my After Effects video is going to come way up high through the roof. So I'm really looking forward to that. And as always, these guys were amazing. They got a number of great cases to pick from, and I picked this. It's amazing. You guys will see it. It's like tempered glass sides, and just a gorgeous, gorgeous case. Water cooled the CPU. Didn't bother water cooling the GPU. In this case, it's not really necessary, and I opted to not do like the crazy colored water tube bending piping. Kept it pretty Spartan, very professional. Left it black. Though these guys have a car paint booth and can paint this thing whatever color you wanted. So I'm really stoked about it. We should see that machine in a couple weeks, which would be great. And in other news, I'm going to cut this video in a moment here. Hopefully later on tonight, I'll post the video from yesterday with the Maingear visit in it, so you guys will hear from me again right away. But I want to do a herd watching video sometime today as well. I intended to do one yesterday, but there's just all sorts of stuff keeps showing up. You know, we have to talk about the cabinet appointments and sort of the narrative that's spawning around those. And there's a lot to talk about with the continued narrative about the Russian hacking and interference in our election. This is going to be an interesting couple of years for us. You know, herd watching isn't just about the partisanship. Obviously, I have my Trump support, but it's really also deeply about the way you hear this word narrative all the time, but it's the best word for it. It's the way your perceptions are shaped, not just by the media, which sounds very tinfoil hattish, but narratives are all around you. You know, people run narratives on you. Social media is essentially the democratized act of creating narratives for each other about our own lives. You know, so narratives are critical, and it's important for us to understand them as we swim in more of them all the time. So the way that the narrative of Trump is being constructed is interesting. Now, it's basically the same narrative that they've tried against, you know, that they ran against Bush and Reagan and Sarah Palin. And what they'll do is jump on every quote they can, every misspeak they can, every, you know, typo, or, you know, anything that can be spun into the idea of ignorant, out of touch, mean. They will hammer home incessantly to create this confirmation bias that, you know, these people are out of touch or stupid or ignorant. And yet when they don't want that narrative to take hold, you know, if you actually look at the list of all the times Barack Obama said something that was factually incorrect, like the number of states he got wrong in one case, or the number of times he misspoke. Now, those are human errors. They're just misspeakings. Do I believe Barack Obama doesn't know how many states there are? No, of course not. He's an intelligent guy. But the news media just kind of lets that one go by, whereas if it had been, you know, Reagan, they would have been, you know, Ronald Reagan, not sure of how many states there are, and, you know, remember that he used to be an actor, and they would just hammer that home. And normally you would let that go and go, it's just a human mistake. Except Then you remember to the time before that when he tripped coming down the stairs. And then you remember the time before that when he, got a little tongue-tied saying whatever word. And by the time it's all done, you're willing to believe that he's, an idiot, because you have built up a set of pieces of what seem like evidence that individually you would dismiss as circumstantial, but as a group you start feeling as proof, and then you start remembering things that never happened. And anyway, they're working on building this narrative with Trump, and the narrative is no different than it ever was. But what's interesting about it is Trump bypasses them and talks directly to his audience. So suddenly there's a competing narrative and there's a separate fact stream. And that's what makes this so interesting, because this is the first time that these guys are building a narrative about someone who has both the power and skill set to push back on it, to successfully refute the narrative, and an audience of people who are ready to accept the possibility that maybe they're being fed a narrative. So in that tension comes illumination. You never get to see what's on the inside of something until you can slice it in half and put it on a slide. And that's what we can do here. Whereas before, the narratives were from one side and they were monolithic and there was nothing to compare them against. Now we have a contrast medium that lets us take a look at what's happening. So anyway, we'll be talking about that a lot more here, and more of that on Herd Watching. I had really intended to keep almost all politics off of this personal vlog channel. But honestly, if I'm going to be talking to you guys every day, and I'm trying to get there, my life just, it's not like I'm out flying jet airplanes or whatever. What I have to talk to you about on a daily basis is mostly what I'm thinking about what's going on. So I think the vlog will probably wind up taking on a little more of whatever's on my mind when I'm talking to you guys, and we'll see if that's interesting to people. In any case, if I don't speak to you again, I hope you guys everyone watching has a fantastic holiday, and stay safe and warm, and it's going to be an interesting year, so we'll see how all that goes. Take it easy, guys.